Welcome everybody to the Think365 launch webinar. I'm really excited about this, the launch of our new version of Think, our new SaaS-based version of our very popular and beloved Think product. I have with me today the Senior Product Manager, Satam Chowdhury, who will be providing most of the webinar here today, as well as Meg Waits, who is our Senior Account Director and a longtime Think user. So Satam will lead us through the new Think365 system. He will talk about roadmaps, and Meg will provide some insider information and some discussion around what the new Think365 is like. And then we will have questions at the end, though. Feel free to enter questions in the question box as we go. And if those questions are particularly relevant to a particular part of the presentation, we will go ahead and ask Satam to answer those questions. So at this point, Satam, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Tony. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, based on which part of the world you're based out of. And it's a real pleasure to be speaking to all of you here today. So without any further ado, I will just head on straight to the session. So this is the broad agenda of today's session. I'll first talk about a brief overview and then some of the features about Think before diving on straight to the product demo. Right. We'll then focus upon vision and some of the roadmap items, and ultimately a proposed feature or module within Think, and how eventually, I think that would be one of the biggest questions that you have in mind. How do you intend to migrate to Think365, right? So, and then before Meg actually talks about her experience eventually. So thank you here. So about Think365, as some of you are already familiar with it, the Think has been in a beloved product for quite a long time. It's an order management and fulfillment system. Think365 is a new generation version of Think. It's a web-based order management, fulfillment, business intelligence platform. And particularly, what are some of the distinguishing characteristics of Think? So we are processing internally. So for the first time, Think365 is also processing payments internally. I'll be explaining that in detail as we head to the demo. We also will have plenty of analytics and reports as part of Think365. So not just a report module, which was there in your erstwhile Think system, but also a lot of data visualizations we'll be seeing as part of the system. It also has an e-commerce module. So for those who are interested, we'll also be happy to extend the e-commerce module. And then it has vast customization and integrations with a lot of external systems, APIs, business systems, everything that's part of your business landscape. So I'll talk about them in more detail as we move ahead. So here are some of the salient features in Think. If you note, there's a marker here. Think365 requires no VPN. I know that's been the pain point for some of the Think users, and as Meg was also telling me when we first met, that's been a pain point for the Think desktop product. So no VPN in Think365 to start with. And you'll see some of the jargons here, but I won't talk about each and every jargon, but to just simplify. So it's a GDPR compliant for the requirement of data integration and data integrity. It's GDPR compliant product. For payments, it's also PCI and DSS compliant, two of the most important compliances that this product requires. As part of the data security, we also have multi-factor authentication for the first time in Think365. Along with that, you have a rights-based access. Now, this is somewhat different to what you have been using in Think. It's a more granular role-based access that you will see in the system that provides user-specific authorization for what they're required to do within the system. For web accessibility, we are also WCAG 2.x compliant, the latest version of 2.0. Data visualization, you will have plenty of data visualization as part of one of the subsequent releases of Think365. And then global search. So what global search is a universal search window that you will see as part of this Think365 application. I will delve deeper into it as we move into the demo. All right. So at this point, I see that we have a lot of people here. So Kushal, can we just will be bothering you with a lot of polls and votes, questionnaires as part of the presentation. So Kushal, can we just launch the first poll? You can see that there are 4 questions, and please take your time. It's not something. It's not there's sufficient time to vote for it. So this poll is going to be there. There are 4 questions. You need to just rate the urgency of your feature requirement. So rate it on a scale of 0 to 5. 0 being least relevant, and 5 being something which is urgent, you require very urgently, or what is most relevant to you. So take your time to make this to vote on this particular poll. Okay, so the first poll has been launched for you. All right. So as part of for the sake of this session, it's difficult for me to cover all the new features of the Think365, but I think I'll at least talk about some of the most key aspects of this particular product. So you have a new module, which is identity and access management, which is called identity and access management module. This is just a super admin module that actually lets for publishers, for your entire team, it lets super admin to regulate the users. What sort of authorization should be available to users? Who does what as part of the system? If somebody is restricted to make a payment, or what sort of payment is that particular user restricted to do? So all these kind of the user regulation will be managed within identity and access management. Also, because of this new module, we would also be able to manage user license activation in no time. So I know that some of the users, they make requests for activating some of the license or renewing their licenses, the Think user licenses. So that's going to take much lesser time than was taken previously. So no 24 hours delay or maybe 48 hours window. We'll have much faster activation on Think365. Right. So now with regards to customer service, so the modules and the more or less the names of the modules will be familiar to you. It's only the functionalities within the modules that's going to change. So as part of customer service, you'll have a single global search window that's universally available across the application that helps you to retrieve the data easily. So if you're searching for any data, particularly if you're a new user, not familiar with the system, if you're looking for a data, single global search window is the one that you have to go. No multiple tabs or searches. So for a user who's familiar within Think, you must have seen a lot of searches requiring navigation across different tabs. So you have to go to a specific tab, put a certain data and then only the search results will be fetched out to you. So there is no requirement for multiple tabs. Wherever you see searches, it's a single search window. No data duplication. So by data duplication, of course, there were data deduplication provisions that we had before, but for the first time, you will be noticing that Think will actually tell you that if there's a data duplication right at the time of entry of the data. So not after the data has been actually recorded in the system. So right at the time of inserting a data, you will notice that the Think data duplication capabilities also come into play. Online payments. So by online payments, we mean that payments using a payment gateway or a payment link, right? So, okay, in the meantime, there's a second poll which has been launched to you. You can also vote. So likewise, similar to the previous poll, you have four sets of features here. Please do rank them in for 5 being the most relevant or the most urgent one, and 0 being the least urgent one, right? So online payments using the payment link, and then you can also this means that your customers can directly make their payments online without the requirement of a CSR doing the payment on behalf of the customers. So they can also, the customers or the subscribers can directly make payments. You can also trigger emails from Think365, so invoice emails or where you're sharing invoices or payment links or renewal emails. All these emails can be directly triggered from Think365 application. And also seamless invoicing. So no requirement for actually going to a separate module, like a process module, in order to run a job to generate an invoice that's directly generated after you have made a order payment. Right. So that's about customer service. And very briefly about setup and preferences. So preference is actually a new module, another new module along with setup. That's actually helps you to configure your preferences or your metadata for your customers or for this entire thing experience. So you'll see faster configuration is much easier. So we'll be doing most of the configuration for you. But of course, this is a module that's available to you. You can reconfigure it as per your needs. You can also configure email templates. So not just that email is available within Think, but also templates, the body of the email template, you can also configure them as part of this application. And Avalara integration. So if you are also interested in using an external API like Avalara for calculating the sales tax for US jurisdictions, we also have Avalara integration as part of it. That's also optional. You can activate it if you want to. And also address validation. So wherever you want to validate whether it's complying with certain jurisdictions, you can also easily activate address validation. So those are provided as part of our preference module. And now, without any further ado, I hope that okay, I have one slide on integration. So here are some of the integrations that you will be seeing as part of the Think365 application: payment gateways, journal hosting platforms, AvaTax for sales tax, address validation APIs. If you suggest any other address validation APIs, that we would be happy to do that for you as well. And then global search, which is available as part of it. It's also an integration that we have done as part of Think365. Right. So without further ado, I'll just move straight to the okay. I'll move straight to the demo. Just give me a second. All right. So I hope that you can see my screen. Tony, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Thank you. So this is the home dashboard for Think365. Typically, you will see various visualizations as part of it. For the sake of the demo, I've kept the visualizations to a minimum. But here's where you will see the most essential. This can also be configured to your requirements. If you want to see some certain specific data, for example, like the customers in order of their subscription payments, or the customers having the largest number of unprocessed invoice. So any data that you would like to see as part of this visualizations will be provided to you. Again, this can be customized based on your requirements, so not something which is hard and fast. Now, the navigation. So this is the navigation, the simple navigation window where you can actually see the various modules and what's there underneath each module. So here you have like the preference module that I was talking about, and then the new module, which is identity and access management module. That's a module which is intended only for the super users, right? So once you go to the customer service, here is where you actually go to the customer module. So this is where you will see. Now you can see the data. This is a global page where you can actually see the data for all your customers, not just so if you're a specific publisher XYZ, so you can see the data for across all your customers. So now let's see for a particular customer. So this is a particular customer, and then these are the different categories that you can configure. Again, these are all customizable features. So you can configure the categories as you want this to. And then you can see some of the essential details here in the preview page, right? So even for customers, for orders, for payments, you have a preview window that actually helps you to disambiguate this data. If you want to, let's say, search a, if you want to just search any data for this belonging to this customer, you can just go to grid search, put this data, and then you will see that what is the customer corresponding to it. So this actually helps you. You can see the essential data that helps you understand that, okay, this is the customer I'm looking for. So that wise, this is intended for disambiguation. Now, moving to so let's say a very basic common day job, which is creating a new customer. So I'll just be showing you one of the features. Right. So as you can see that I just inserted some of the key details here, the first name and the last name. Now it's possible that I'm using a different last name also, not just this first name. But the moment that I have entered the first name and the last name, you can see that the system has already identified that there's a possible duplicate for this particular customer that I'm going to add. I haven't saved the customer yet. Right. So if I click on this particular customer, you can actually see it will flag you. This is the are you sure that this is not the customer that you're going to create? So it's not that you have already saved the customer, but at the time when you're inserting this customer, this is also a feature which is available in orders. So that helps in data deduplication. So you can see that, and we have like different various combinations of this duplication match, not just based on first name and last name, but various combinations that actually helps us identify what could be a possible duplicate data that you or maybe one of the users or your users is going to insert in the system, right? So likewise, so every system that you will see here, let's see, is actually you can add an address here. Uh, if you choose to, you can add an address here, and then if you want to configure an address also, whether you want to use it as a shipping address, billing address, you can do that. Now, if you don't want to use it, like if you don't want to expressly mark something as shipping and billing, that's also fine. You need not mark anything, an address as expressly as shipping and billing. There's always an option to mark as primary address. So whenever you don't have anything as shipping or billing, you always have a primary address. So the primary address will be taken as the shipping billing address as default or renewal address as default, even if you have not marked it expressly here. Right. Also, like we'll be having integrations with external APIs. So right now I'm using a free API here for the sake of this demo. Okay, I've also been prompted to use mine. So once I have actually inserted the country and the zip code, I actually get the city and the state is automatically reflected here. So likewise, so we'll be also, right now I'm using a free API for the sake of the demo, but we'll have a proper API to actually, that will be integrated as part of it, right? So that can fetch the zip code and the city and the state here itself. Any additional information that you have it or any other auxiliary fields you can configure as part of it. Yeah, so for now we have about, okay, one question which has come up at this point, I'm taking it, whether address matching parameters. So address matching parameters, I was referring to customer matching parameters also, but for address matching parameters, you have certain select parameters. In the subsequent release, of course, we'll let you configure the address matching parameters as well, right? But for now, we have a set of fixed parameters for matching deduplicate addresses, but that configurability will also be provided to you. Right, so that's how I created the entire a new customer here, and then all right, so the moment once I created a new customer, you can see that alongside the new customer, I have a different set of actions here. So I can see what the order says. I can directly create an order for this customer without even viewing the orders, all the orders of the customer. I can view the payment. So all the actions are available against this particular customer using the single click of the action button. Rather than this, you can also use the navigation button that you can go to the orders for the payments, of course. And in that case, when you go directly to the orders, you can see the orders for all the customers, not just for a specific customer. But for the sake, for our sake, I will show you the orders. Let's say for this particular user, right, so this particular user already has two orders which were created. I could have directly gone to create an order, but let's say I'd like to add an order from here. So now I can see that this is this particular customer for which I'm creating this order. I've selected a particular order code. Again, this is something that you can actually search here as well. It's a single, as I was saying, that it's a tabless search. So anything that you would require here, you can search here. If you want a source code, so the order code and source code, as you're familiar with, these are the basic inputs for inserting an order. They retrieve what exactly you're going to order, what are the rates, and so on. So I'll be using an order code and along with that a source code. If you'd like to add an agency also, you can add an agency. If you don't want to add an agency, you are free to. And as you can see that this data is serially presented to you so that you're not just overwhelmed with a lot of data right at the time of creating it. So once you've inserted the key information, then you go to order items and terms. So you can put the essential information related to this order. You can see what the address details are. So as you have seen, for this particular customer, we have not actually created a shipping billing renewal when this customer was created. So there was a primary address for this customer. And because the user has not marked a shipping billing and renewal, by default, the primary address is taken as a shipping billing and renewal. Of course, you can create as many addresses that you want to. You can configure it. You can mark it as shipping or billing or different addresses billing, or if you want to add an agency or a different customer address also, you can add a different customer address as well, right? So if you can mark a different customer address as billing or shipping address also, that's fine for you to do that. And then you can see the payment breakdown for this particular order. So now, right now, I've not inserted the order item, the subscription definition. So once I've inserted that, I'll be able to see that there's an amount which is calculated. Now, for this particular jurisdiction, interestingly, I also had configured Avalara here for calculating the tax. Now, it's not essential that I have to configure Avalara for calculating the tax, but I can just identify a jurisdiction. So this was Michigan. For Michigan, I've identified that as a jurisdiction for which the system will call Avalara for calculating the sales tax. But of course, you can say that whether Avalara has to be called or not. That's a decision that you can make. So along with that, it's actually retrieved the tax amount, and that's the total net amount that you can see as part of it, right? So likewise, so once you're done, you can actually save this particular order here. You can see what the key details, order details are here itself, the rate-based subscription, which is the type of order it's created, when is it exactly is it created for, who is it being created, those details. And as I mentioned that you always have this preview window where you can actually see the key details of any order. So if I'm seeing this is an order ID 2612, it's an issue-based subscription order. It's an order which actually you can see what the order details are, number of issues, likewise the shipping address, billing address, and so on. If you have done a renewal also, that will also be visible here. So you can identify if this order was renewed or not, if there was anything which was upsold as part of this order, every detail will be presented to you as part of the preview panel. So the most critical aspect of this particular order, the payment details and so on, you can actually visualize in this preview panel itself without actually going and editing or viewing this order details here, right? So I need not do that. I can just view this as part of this particular order preview panel. If you'd also like to configure this grid, what are the items that you want to be shown as part of this grid, you can actually configure this particular grid as well for the order. So let's say I want to add a view what the agency are. So I can actually use the agency button here as well. This is added the agency column here. Right, so likewise, I can actually view the orders. Now, if so coming from orders, so let's see, I want to make a payment for an order which was actually not paid. So this is an application that you're actually familiar with, that you can see You can a payment may have already been made. Let's say a cash payment has been made. So I can select the payment method. Let's say a cash payment has been made. So when I select a cash as the payment method, it will automatically populate the details here. So this is something that you're already familiar with. But now we also have an option. So now I'm not choosing a payment link here, right? What if I were to uncheck this particular option? So now it's actually telling me that I want to use a payment link. And what I mean by payment link, I'm going to show you that. Right, so now I've just selected this order. This is the order I've selected 2612. This is the order which is selected by default, right? If I want to, I can also select another order. I can enter what the payment amount I want to make. So now let this be 57. I'm making an order payment amount of 57 here itself. And then if I want to, I could also combine other orders as well. But for now, I'm sticking to just one order. And then there's something interesting. So this is a default. Again, this template forms, invoice forms can be configured based on your requirement. So this is just a template that I'm using here. It's the order, the bill to details, the ship to details, and the order items, the payment breakup here. You can see that there's a draft email which is already created here. So the text of this mail is actually configured as part of the preferences module. You can configure this text. You can also edit this text if you want to. So you can also configure this, and there's a payment link which is provided to you, right? So the default the default email will actually be available here. Let's see, I've selected, let's say mps.com, or that's configured as part of your user, and the primary email of this user of this particular customer will actually be automatically be available here. You can also select which payment gateway you would want the customer to be making the payment. So once you've sent this email, this email will go to that particular user, and then the user will see. Now, this is not something that you will be able to view, but this is something that the end user will be able to view here. So the end user will actually see the subscriber, I'm sorry, the subscriber will be able to see the details here, the card number, the name of the card. And once that the end user has actually inserted a card number here, so they can actually make an entire payment here. So you need not, so the point of saying is that payments in addition to the existing payments, the offline payments, if I were to call it, you also have the provision for making online payments here using the payment link. Your subscribers or your customers have the provision to do that. So that's about payment. And likewise, if you also want to view the invoices, right? So any past invoices, let's see, this is for a different order for which the payment was made before. But if you want to download the invoice also for related orders, for this particular order, since the payment has not been done, so the invoice is not visible. But if the payment would have been done, you could have viewed the invoice here itself, right? So likewise, and if you want to send this email invoice as well, you can also select this particular invoice. This will be attached as part of this email, and then the text of this particular the invoice email also will be attached here. You can configure the text of this invoice email as well, right? So you need not download an invoice, go to Outlook, and then make a separate separate mail to that particular customer. That's provided as part of this particular application. So now so until I've spoken to you about customers, so the navigation, any of this details is available under navigation. You can either go from navigation from one window to the other, or you can just go from here. If you select for customer, if you want to view the orders for a particular customer, you can go from here. You can select the action. So for every grid that you see in this particular as part of the thing has an action button here, and then action button lets you either view the customer or view this or edit an order or make all the changes related to this order. Right. Now, coming to one of the key features, which is global orders, the global search option. So this is what I was talking about, the global search feature. So here is actually where you can. Right, so let's say I just want to. Right. So I've just looked for. So if I want to search for a customer, of course, I could do that. But it's not essential that I'm just looking for a customer. If I were to look for a customer here, let's say Preeti, where Preeti was one of the customers, or might have been as the billing customer as well for this order. The billing customer here as well. I could do that. Right. Or let's say, so I've just typed on Michigan here, and then I can see that for this particular order, there was a state which was in Michigan that can be as part of the billing address, or if there's a specific address which is taken as a billing address also, you can actually view this. So this is regardless of what data that you're searching here. If you want to search any data metadata here, you want to understand whether this metadata was used as part of orders, you want to search for an order based on a source code or an order code, you can do that. If you want to search a customer by an order ID also, you could do that. Any possible permutation and combination of searches is actually possible using this global search window that you see here. So feel free to use it. Once you have it, please feel free to go through it and then use it as far as possible. This is customized for your needs. Right, so now, okay. So now moving to reports. So again, like similar to customer service, you also have reports here. You can actually access the various reports. Again, this is just for the sake of the demo that I've selected these reports here. But just if you were to see the customer reports, you just go to customer reports here, and then just put the customer search details. Let's say I just want, so you can make the selection here and this details will be visible to you underneath, right? I've tried to retrieve all the details of the customers. Again, you can export it in the form of an Excel, CSV, and also PDF if you require that too. When that will also be provided as part of it. You can export this and save it in your system. Right. So now I'll also mention one point because I know that's going to be a question which is going to come, whether you can actually configure a report on your own as some of the users say. Yes, that's also a capability that we're going to provide in the next release. After this particular release, we'll also provide that so that not just you will have your existing reports. For the first release, we'll configure all your existing reports that are there, but we'll also let you configure to create reports and then to actually populate reports here so that you can use those report templates and then retrieve the data as you were doing anything before. Right. So that functionality using an external tool like uh, not necessarily SAP Crystal Viewer, but some other tools also along with that will also create reports, your teams to create reports. If you require us to create reports, of course, we will do that. If you want to create reports on your own also, you're welcome to do that. But that's as part of the second release. Right? So now coming to process module. So this is where you can actually see the process module. For now, I've already selected a profit center here. Again, I'm running the account reconciliation process, one of the most popular processes. You can select the profit center accounting period here. If you want to select a specific order class here, you can select a specific order class and so on. If you want to select if there's no accounting period that you would like to select order class, you can do that. And then if you want to include tax liability or delivery liability as well, you can do that. So all these details, so it's a plain process module that you will see here, and then you can run the process. The only difference between, for now, primary difference between the process module that you will see here is that for invoices, you don't need to run a separate process. That's provided as part of the order to customer service module itself. Right. I think I'll take one question. Okay, Jess said one question. I'll take that question. Okay, the invoice format. Now, this this is just a default invoice format that I was using. But of course, Jess, any invoice that you can see here. Yeah, this is one of the invoice format. A very basic invoice format which I was using, and then you can actually configure this invoice based on we can configure this invoice based on the publisher. So if you have a preferred, as most of you have like specific invoice formats, so those will be configured based on your specific use cases. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. It's only that it's a sample format which I'm showing here. A lot of other details are not there. With just a very basic format, the order date is here because you can see.
So,
Right.
Thomas, I just wanted to give you a time check.
Sure.
How are you doing here? Also, note that people can't see those questions, and so if you see a question that you want to answer, you probably should repeat the question. So,
Sure. Okay. Okay. Sure. All right. So, and I'll. So I'll just move on to the Think vision here. So as part of the Think vision, we actually aim to be an e-commerce fulfillment and business intelligence system for publishers. So we would like to manage both your open access and subscription revenue models. We also aim to manage orders from all channels, various orders from different channels, B2B or B2C. We also want to process online payments along with the offline payments that we have been doing. We would also like to provide database insights that enable your team to make better decisions. And then we want to customize the pricing, upsell, all other requirements based on actual customer preferences, rather than just having you to configure those details here. So that's a long-term vision for this particular product. Here are some of the roadmap candidates. Again, it's a prospective roadmap exercise that we had done. So online payment processing, as I was just showing that we actually integrated with payment gateways that would allow you to receive online payments. So that's already released. I'm sorry. Global search, that's a single search window, which has also been released uh, till now. There will be an option to allow multiple shipping locations for orders. So you can also add multiple shipping and billing addresses for the same order. That's something that we hope to release in the second quarter of 2024. Advanced analytics or data visualization is part of the analytics module that's expected again to be released in quarter two, where you can actually see this custom data visualizations that we can configure for your specific requirements. And then machine learning based upselling. So you can actually select the optimal upselling opportunities based on the customer preferences data. That's something we hope to come at the end of next year, 2024. So these are some of the proposed roadmap items. I think it's time, Kushal, for a next poll. Can we actually have the yeah? So here is actually a set of questions on the prospective new modules in Think365. Take your time to actually vote there. Some of the modules or prospective modules that you would be interested to see in Think. Again, 0 for the least relevant ones and 5 for the most relevant ones. Right, so I'll take this opportunity to actually talk about open access management. So that's one of the proposed modules in Think365. Let us know if you're interested. If that's something which resonates with you. So the idea is to actually help you manage both open access APC payments and subscription revenues as part of Think365. We also want to let you manage transformative agreements, various agreements that you have with the consortia in different parts of the world. Okay, I'll come to the question on migrations. Then you can also process APC payments as part of Think365. As we can also propose have integrations as part along with the peer review systems. And then the overall idea is to actually reduce formalities for your open access authors and funders. So any report has to be generated for your funders, or if your author has to seamlessly make a payment for an APC, they can do this as part of it. So that's also one of the modules that we have in the pipeline. Do vote in this particular poll so that we can actually know whether that's something of interest to you. Okay, so coming to the question of migration to Think365, yes. So the open access management poll is also there for you. You can vote on the either of those two questions, on both these questions. So yes, Think365 will be managed, migration will be managed as a project. So this is the basic timeline for, so the data assessment will take, our team will take some time to understand your data. Then the migration, that's roughly around 20 to 30 business days and then a QAT, the usual system, and followed by a go live. So it's a very basic migration timeline that we have for you. And we, based on your interest or your convenience, we can actually manage the go live as part of it. I know that some of you might have these questions that what's the idea about Think Desktop. So for now, Think Desktop is certainly going to be there at least until the end of 2025 or mid 2026. It's there, but we would definitely encourage you to explore this new system, to migrate to this new system, so that you can actually use this particular new features. And yeah. So any questions, Tony, at this point?
I think you answered the two questions that came in so far. It's time to turn it over to Meg.
Sure. Yes, Meg, over to you.
Oh, Meg, you're on mute.
Thanks. So Satam, I think my slides are
Yes.
appended to your deck. Great, thank you. All right, there we go. Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. A lot of you already know me from past Think user group meetings. And for those who don't, my name is Meg Waits. I'm a senior account director here at HighWire. I've been either directly involved with or very close to subscription management for more than 25 years. And I've been exposed to several different systems. Think is still my favorite. I've helped to migrate more than 30 publishers from other systems to Think, and I've attended more than 10 Think user group meetings. I'm super excited about resuming those next year. I want to mention here too that I am not the only user here at MPS HighWire. We are not just the owners and engineers of Think. We also have many users on staff handling order management on behalf of publishers who choose to outsource that service. So we all benefit from keeping the system best in class. Next slide, please, Satam. As many of us are aware, this has been a long time in the making. And there have been some false starts dating back to pre-MPS HighWire days, which is why I am super excited to be here and to see this being rolled out. So I just want to touch on the things that really stand out to me personally. I am repeating mostly what Satam has said, but this is kind of my nice list. Global search is really awesome, and it makes finding records quick and easy. No VPN, hooray. Real-time deduplication will help prevent database litter that you have to clean up and make decisions about later. I think a lot of us have been through those projects. Which record do I keep? Now I got to transfer orders. I got to add IP addresses, etc. None of that. Sending emails with payment links straight from the system. I love this. Processing payments within the application rather than through a separate system. And it's still, of course, PCI compliant, because you know you will be asked. Reports faster and easier. Next slide, please. And this is just kind of a list of some of the strengths of Think from my personal perspective. I love how flexible it is. You can really be creative if you have weird fulfillment situations. You can always work them out somehow or another. I love that it keeps up with the way the industry is evolving in terms of subscription models and the ability to transition between those models if you need to. Multi-site group consortia hierarchies. It accommodates access-related data such as IPv6, institutional identifiers. Of course, you can do integrations and customizations, you name it. And next slide, please, Satam. And yeah, so here I just, again, wanted to kind of reiterate where the roadmap and the future of Think are concerned, that our own internal staff uses Think when providing outsourced services. So we all benefit from new features. So we keep an active roadmap. And also where open access is concerned, there will continue to be a need for subscription-based transactions for some time. Open access models like subscribe to open continue to rely on subscriptions. Read and publish, publish and read rely on similar transactions, payments from institutions to publishers for reading and or publishing. So it's very similar to a subscription-based transaction. And in fact, I know of at least one publisher that does capture those transactions in the system now. And because Think is so flexible, it has also been used by at least one publisher that I know of to manage APC-based transactions using deposit accounts to hold funding dollars. So you just have to get a little creative. That said, as Satan mentioned, we are looking at ways of tailoring some of Think's functionality to specifically handle author billing and transformative agreement management. And we'd love to hear your feedback about that. And that is really all I have for today. I mainly wanted to share with you my excitement for the launch and encourage you to reach out with your feedback or any questions that you may have. So I'll hand it back over to you, Satan.
Well,
Thanks.
Satam, I am going to just interrupt and thank Meg for that great endorsement, and also to announce that Meg and Satam and I are beginning the planning of a user group meeting for Think in the style of user group meetings that you have all participated, or many of you have participated in the past. And so stay tuned for more information that our plan is to do that in the spring. So I just wanted to get that announcement out there before people started to drop off the webinar. So Satam, do you have more presentation, or should we go to questions?
No, sure. I actually have two polls in the meantime. So Kushal, could we see what the next question is? So feel free. So this is a question, this set of questions related to integration. So any other prospective integrations that you would like us to do, we're open to doing it. So 0 for the least relevant one, 5 for the one that you most require, the most urgent one. So please feel free to vote on that. You have questions on access management systems, whereby you can directly provide access to your subscribers. So take your time to vote for those questions. And all right, so once we have the answers, can we actually see the polling results, Kushal?
So yeah, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the question box, and we'll try to get to them after we take a look at the polling results. Are we all set with that yet, Kushal?
Okay, we can see. Okay, so this is for the okay, so this is the results for access management systems. Actually, okay, I can see a lot of interest in access management systems, and the usage analytics data. So again, we are open to doing integrations for usage analytics as well, if you require us to do that. Yes, indeed. So for the Power, so one point about the Power BI or SSRS integration is that these are just two of the tools that I've mentioned, stated here. But if there are other tools that you require us to create reports, please feel free to write to us. I think Kushal will roll out a feedback form itself, and you could do that. We have last one poll here on payment integration. So the idea about payment integration is also have to have some of the latest payment feature that you can extend to your subscribers, like BNPL or buy now pay later options. If you're interested in having that, we certainly can do that. direct debit for SEPA zones, for cross-border payments. If you want us to integrate or configure a direct debit as well, we would also be happy to do that. And any other external payment gateways. Okay, PayPal is already there in Think Desktop and will also be provided as part of Think365. But any other payment gateways that you feel that we have that has not been mentioned here, you can just show your interest, and we'll also reach out to you with the feedback form later.
So Tom, while we're waiting for those results, there was a question that came in.
Okay.
In existing reports, crystal reports from Think 7.7 be able to be converted or imported into Think 365.
Yes, definitely. Those will be, as part of the migration, will be migrating all your existing reports that you have into Think 365. And as I mentioned, that as part of a later subsequent release, we'll also, in the first release, we'll let you we'll import all your existing reports. From the second release, we'll even let you to create reports, and that you can actually import into the Think 365 application.
Right.
So, Kushal, can we see the results of the first poll, and then we can... Okay, this was the latest poll that we had. Okay, direct debit doesn't seem to have many catches as I had expected. Okay, external payment gateways, interesting that we have more requests for external payment gateways. We're happy to do that. And for now, BNPL options don't seem to be very relevant, but it's someday in future, of course, we would be happy to do that as well. All right, so Kushal, could we see the results of the first poll? And then we talked about the existing features of Think. The poll results. Okay. Yeah, so for usage data, there seems to be, I would say, moderate interest in that to enable you to have usage-based pricing. Orders sent with multiple shipping locations. So I see some very keen interest in that. And that's something that we are actively exploring, how we can actually provide that. It's an advanced stage, actually. Review orders if you require us to. So review order, basically, if the functionality was not clear, actually, in case if we have some requests from some CSRs that before they are placing an order, they want that order to be reviewed by a senior manager. So that's the functionality. Of course, we'd be happy to explore that in a later date, given that it's not very much urgently required. And upsell opportunities, again, both usage-based pricing and upsell opportunities are based on the customer preferences data. So at a later date, if you want us to configure those based on the preferences data coming from either from journal hosting platform or from content discovery platform, we can actually work on that as well. Right. Moving to the...
We do have some more questions.
Okay. Sure.
So can accounting reconciliation be turned off, not utilized in I think 365 is the question.
Yeah, surely. That's again that's something that we can actually let you. If you don't want to use it, we can provide you that option. And there's another question, which is, will my auxiliary fields be brought over as part of the migration? Yes, all your auxiliary fields as part of the Think365 desktop application will also be put here. Yes, the Think365 will have separate dedicated training sessions for Think365 for all your users separately, not just through the webinar, not through a webinar, but for dedicated training sessions we'll have for your respective teams. Right.
So we have a couple more minutes to see the rest of the poll.
Yes. Kushal, can we see that? Okay. So about create API for setup module. So the purpose of having the API for the setup module is actually for you, if you would like to retrieve the existing packages or pricing for that you have configured in Think365, or if you want to externally configure the prices, not from within Think, but from an external application also. That's the purpose of the API. Has, I would say, moderate takers, as I can see. Integrate external API for address validation. So for those that address validation, I know that address validation is a pain point for some of our existing users. That's a very seamless integration. I can also show that how it works here. An e-commerce interface for subscribers. Okay, that seems to be fairly a lot of interest in e-commerce. Will definitely reach out to you for that. So e-commerce will actually, the e-commerce integration, we can do that as part of your existing hosting platform, or a separate e-commerce integration that we can as part of your existing site where the journals are hosted. We can do that as part of it, so that once a subscriber can actually places an order, he or she can directly make a payment, renew that order, or cancel that order. Those can be done at the subscriber end itself. API for actually extracting the reports data, there seems to be quite a lot of interest there. Certainly we'll be providing you the reports data on API so that you can extract it. Even if you want to create it for visualizations of your own, you could do that. I'll just take, if you don't have any questions, I'll just take.
Well, there is one last question
Okay.
there.
Yeah, so agent imports will also be provided as part of it. So imports, I was not able to show that as part of the session, but yes, there's definitely going to be the import module that you see here. Yes, auxiliary field, So auxiliary fields is something that you can configure, not just. Okay, I certainly like to answer this question regarding auxiliary fields. Give me a second.
Make sure that you repeat the question.
Yeah, sure. So the question is, auxiliary fields flexible functions will be the same as Think 7.7 or enhanced? Yes, there's going to be an enhancement in the auxiliary field functions. And I'll show you very briefly, I can show you how that's going to be configured here. So if you can see that there's a customer, if I add a customer, so unlike in previous case, in the Think desktop application, you just have one category of customer where all these details are available, whereby you can, if you want to add an agency, so using the same customer interface, I can add the agencies here as well, or I can use add in subscriber or a society, for example. So if based on the particular category, the form will be configured for you. Likewise, the auxiliary fields. So the auxiliary fields, you can see just two auxiliary fields here, but these two auxiliary fields, you can configure that I need this auxiliary field only for agency or for society type of user or for membership type of user. So I can identify what the customer category is for which I require the specific auxiliary field, and that will be made available to you. You can actually see, so this is the preferences. I'm sorry, I could not show you the details of the preferences module as part of it, but you can see that all the tax configuration that you can do as part of it. So if you're configuring any jurisdiction here, you can set that for this specific jurisdiction, I would like the tax to be calculated using Avalara, or I would like the address validation to be done by an external API like Avalara or some other API could do that. Right. So you can actually set from within this application if you want the tax to be calculated for a specific jurisdiction or a specific country at Avalara's level or not, you can do that. Right. And whether you can configure the base currency for an individual country or you can configure the local currencies and so on. But the point is that at a country level or at a jurisdiction level or the state's level, you can configure how you would like the tax to be calculated. There's no separate integration necessary for that. Any other questions?
We are at the end of our time, Satam.
Yes.
Any last brief words before we end the webinar? And nothing, Satam, from you?
Yeah, I think that was actually great introducing Think365 for all of you. So I'll be glad to, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you or your feedback. Kushal has rolled out a feedback form, and please do write me directly. my email address. I think I'll share my email address as part of it, or I suppose you might have it. So that's schaudhry@highwirepress.com. So please do write to me, and I'm happy to do as many demonstrations or that you require for Think365.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for participating. Please take a minute to provide the feedback in the feedback form, and of course, reach out and we can provide demonstrations of Think365. And we look forward to working with all of you as we continue to enhance the product. And thank you, Meg, for your help. And thanks to Kushal, who is behind the HighWire marketing box. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have
Enjoy
a
the
good
day.
day. Goodbye.